Hi everybody, Jordan Blotcher here, aka the Sports Card Lawyer, back again with another video. Now, for this video, I'm not going to be making any pick, but we are going to be discussing a pick that I made just a few days ago when I started this channel. And the card we're going to be talking about is the Patrick Mahomes 2017 Optic Holo. One of the first videos I ever made was about this exact card. And if you watch that video, you'll remember that the card was trading right here, and I recommended it as a strong buy at that point in time at $1,775. And the reason that I recommended it as a strong buy at that point in time was that the card had a $2,500 trend line. And we always expect that cards are over time going to regress towards their mean price, which is the year-long trend line for our purposes. We especially think that it's likely that a card is going to rise back to its trend line when the season is just around the corner and excitement is going to be at the highest point that it's going to be at during the year, and everyone's going to be excited about the Chiefs and how they're going to perform and Patrick Mahomes' general potential. And so when we see a card trading below trend line at this point in the off season, it should send off buy signals for us because we expect that the card is going to very easily begin to return to its trend line. So I recommended that this card should be purchased as long as you could get it at $1,800 or less dollars. And then we looked just a few days after I made that video, we had a sale at $2,025. Okay, still well below the trend line, still a pretty good buy, but then one day after that, we see that the card then sold for $200 more at $2,224. And now we can see how the value of the card is closing in on this downward sloping trend line. So at this point in time, even though the card is still trading below its trend line, I would no longer classify it as a strong buy, because we can expect that this trend line is probably going to continue the trend that it's on. It's probably going to stay downward sloping for a little bit, and so this is very close to the full value of the trend line. It's about 90% of full trend line value. And because we think that we'll probably only be able to realize 90% of the value of the card if we were to sell it for cash rather than trading, we probably don't want to buy a card that's trading at 90% of its trend line, because there's not going to be opportunities for a very large ROI on a card like that. But let's talk about what would have happened if you had bought this card at $1,800 on the day that I recommended it in my previous video. We generally assume that when you trade a card, you will be able to capture somewhere around 10% more than the sale value of the card when you trade it. So if the card is trading, we'll take these last two comps because it seems like the market is trending upwards. If we average the last two comps of this card, we're looking at 21.25. So if you had bought it at 1,800 and then it started trading at 21.25, that's a $325 increase in the value of the card right there. But if you decide to trade instead of selling the card, then you should be able to capture about 10% more than whatever the sale value is of the card at that given time. So if we think the value of the card is 21.25 and somebody really wants to get their hands on this card, we'll probably be able to get them to pay about $200 more than whatever the sale value is of that card. That's around 10%. So that would be a price of about $2,300 in trade value, and you would have acquired the card a week ago at 1,800. So if we do 1,800 divided by 2,300, we can calculate the ROI that we would have made on the card in just a few days. And you'll see that you would have generated somewhere around a 22% return on your investment on this particular card in just a few days. If you had invested that money in the stock market, you would only expect to make somewhere between a 7 and 8% return over the course of an entire year. But just by paying attention to this graph and trend line, you have an opportunity to beat the market by 300% in 1/52nd the amount of time. So this is just one of those examples where noticing a card trading way below its trend line at a point in the year when we expect cards are about to return to their trend line can create great opportunities for you to make a large profit. So that's all I wanted to say about this video. Thank you for tuning in. Drop me a like, leave me a comment if you agree or disagree with what I've said in this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'm looking forward to making more content for you very soon.